It's Briggs. Say hi, Briggs. Say hi. And I have been meaning to do this video for quite a while. My friend Lucian at the Conjurer's Table requested that I do it. So we are going to be talking today about the moon phases and how to use them in your crafting, your magical workings. So I'm going to be reading out of Herbs in Magic and Alchemy, Techniques from Ancient Herbal Lore. This is by C.L. Zalewski. So it has some information in here, and then I've also printed out some little pieces of information. So I guess I'll read these first because it's easier, and then we'll delve deeper by reading the book. And I'm not going to go in any particular order just because I've had a long day at pre-K. I'm a pre-K teacher, in case y'all didn't know. And I'm super tired, but it was a gorgeous, just amazing thunderstorm today, and I loved it. And so I'm feeling in the witchy mood, even though I'm tired. And I did want to do this video because I've been putting it off, but I'm just not even going to try to organize it. I'm just going to spit it out. So what I recommend you do, get a piece of paper for each of the moon phases and write it at the top what the moon phase is, and then switch between the notes. And I'll try to take it slow for you guys so you can take notes if you want to, but you can just pause, fast forward, rewind to your heart's desire. So that'll just make it easier on me if you don't mind. Okay, so it says that during the third quarter moon, so that's your title, the third quarter moon, witches are celebrating wisdom. So the third quarter moon is all about wisdom. Attaining wisdom is not always regarded as easy. By attuning to the energies of the third quarter, which is the crone aspect, it can help us to learn and understand at a more profound level the essence of the process of attaining wisdom. Anything that is good for us is greatly empowered and nourished, and anything unnecessary should go, as it hinders our progress. So that's for the third quarter moon. Now, this demands a great deal of good judgment, self-knowledge, and understanding. This is exactly what the process of wisdom requires. Many of us will become resistant or avoidant during this phase. So maybe make a pattern, maybe in your moon journal or whatever, use a little code or a key or something to see how you feel during the different moon phases and see if this is true of you. Where was I? So yeah, that's what wisdom requires. We might become resistant or avoidant during this phase. I know I get like that sometimes. I don't know if it's during this moon phase, so I'm going to have to make sure, see if my moods are following that pattern. So it says, I would like to remind all witches the following 3 words. These words can help you a lot on selecting the aspect of your life that you need to declutter. What resists, persists. The less resistant we are, letting go of the things that no longer nurture us, the less stressful the process will be. So that is very important to celebrate your wisdom during the third quarter moon cycle. All right, now we're going to go into the full moon. So make you a heading on the full moon paper. And you can put this in your moon journal, your grimoire, book of shadows, notebook, whatever you want to do. So it said, this is the time when the moon shines with all its glory, and it's considered a very important aspect, as we all know. The witching hour usually refers to the midnight hour during the full moon. I didn't know that. I just thought it was always midnight on any night. So that's something I learned just now. So it's always been regarded as a particularly potent time for magic, as the moon is not waxing nor waning, and midnight is considered the time between the days. It's a very liminal time, in between realms, worlds, days. So it's an in-between time between worlds. Wow. During the full moon time, all magic work is empowered. All magical work is fertile during this time. All goddesses can be invoked during the full moon. However, the mother aspect of the goddess was more associated with the full moon. So, the full moon is associated with the mother aspect. We said the third quarter moon, which is during the waning cycle, is the crone aspect of the goddess. So, the sacred woman who has given birth or is carrying a child is kind of what this time, this full moon, represents. The mother that has given birth to all things is honored and celebrated, the divine feminine. A few examples of goddesses associated with the full moon in their aspects. Let's see if it says this. I lost it, but we know, who can I think of right now? Of course, now that I'm doing this, my mind is blank. I should have organized my video, but Hecate is the moon goddess. Let's see what else. Y'all correct me. Y'all tell me in the comments below who some other moon goddesses are for the full moon. Alright, so now let's go to we're just flopping all around, go to the first quarter. So title your page the first quarter. So the first quarter is during the waxing moon phase time, and it occurs approximately 7 days after the new moon. During this lunar phase, as the moon grows, all construction magic is benefited, so anything that you're building up, especially to empower any previous magical work, that the outcome has not become apparent, and sustain and deepen our understanding of magic. So the first quarter is the time where the seeds we planted during the new moon, they're growing. And all witches, as gardeners of the divine garden, need to maintain it during this time. So some spell work that you can do during the first quarter moon would be for bringing courage, determination, motivation. We're building things up. We're getting ready for that full moon phase where everything is manifested. So we're really trying to become motivated and manifest things in our lives. Spells related to gaining clarity and strengthening protection are also benefited during the first quarter cycle. The aspect of the goddess which is associated with the first quarter is, of course, the maiden. So the maiden is during the waxing moon phase. The mother is the full moon, and then the crone is the waning moon phase. Alright, the maiden as a term does not refer to like a virgin woman necessarily, but it refers instead to a goddess without a partner or one who has not yet given birth. So it doesn't necessarily mean like a virgin, but certainly that could be an aspect of it. Alright, so now let's go to the new moon. So title your page New Moon Magic. This is the time when the moon first appears in the sky after the dark moon. The dark moon is when there's no moon at all visible in the sky, and that is absolutely my most favorite moon phase. I feel so just empowered, and it's a time for like dark magic or shadow work or just really meditating and going inward. It's a time to, like, you would go to the crossroads at that time, that kind of thing. Like either the darker magic, the shadow side, or just no magic at all, and just reflect, and just be. I just love it. So it's a time of regeneration, the new moon, which is right after the dark moon. And it has to do with new beginnings. all construction magic that has to do with setting new goals. So the new moon is when you start the new cycle over. So you want to start a new goals, new projects, new things that you will be building toward up until the full moon when it is fully manifested. So the new moon is the time when we honor our aspirations, and beginning new ventures is favored during this time. So the new moon is during the waning phase. So we have cleared, the new moon, yeah. It says during the waning phase, sorry. We have cleared and removed anything that is unnecessary and no longer required in our lives. During the new moon, we summon everything that we want to fill the gap. So we summon new love, new friendships, new skills, new jobs, prosperity and abundance, you name it. In modern witchcraft, the aspect of the goddess that has been associated with the new moon is the maiden in her young child aspect. An example of the goddesses associated with the new moon are Demeter and Persephone. Oh, I love that. All right, so now let's just talk in general about the waning moon cycle. The term "the moon is waning" refers to the lunar phase where the moon is reducing its light. It begins on the day after the full moon until the day of the dark moon, when the moon cannot be seen in the sky. During this lunar phase, as the moon wanes, all kind of destructive magical work is benefited. To set up the right context of this term destructive, it's more like letting go of things that are not wanted, banishing, exorcisms. It's a prime time for breaking addiction, weight loss spells, and things like that. Those are best performed during the waning moon. Okay, so now let's talk about the waxing moon. When the moon is waxing, it refers to the lunar phase where the moon is gaining its light. It begins on the day of the new moon, when the moon appears for the first time in the sky, and ends with the day of the full moon, when the moon shines with all its glory. During this lunar phase, as the moon grows, all kinds of constructive magical work is benefited. Manifestation spells such as love spells, money spells, wish spells, they're all favored during this time. All right, so we've got the new moon, first quarter, full moon, third quarter, and then the dark moon, and we start over with the new moon again. So, however, the dark moon, some people don't really, they just kind of lump it in with the new moon. But the new moon is like when the moon is new. It has, you can see a sliver of it. And the dark moon is when you absolutely cannot see anything. So I feel like those two should, or maybe not should. I'm not going to say should, because you do what feels right to you. But I do feel that they are distinct, separate phases. And they each hold their own distinct magic. Now, you know, we're all busy, we're living life. If you just really don't have time to do the dark moon one day and turn around and do the new moon the next, you know, I know it's a lot. So it's totally optional. Don't feel stressful that you have to honor both. If you feel like you want to honor it as a whole, the new moon, the dark moon phase, you know, that's cool. But I love the significance of the dark moon and that it is such a fleeting time. But I feel that it is very, very vital to me in my practice. All right, so now let's do the third quarter magic. So title your page, your note page, third quarter. And it's in the waning phase of the moon, and it occurs approximately 7 days after the full moon. It's the time for introspection and to wind down, to reflect and learn from previous experiences. It's also the time to prepare to leave anything unnecessary behind. It's a great time for divination and meditation on previous experiences. The veil is thin during this time, so it's good to contact and get guidance from the spirit world. These are perfect for the third quarter moon phase. So those are just some little notes that I had printed off that kind of tell a little bit about it. But also, in this book, it really goes into, So here's what I'm going to do. You're probably tired of just listening to me read off. So I am going to turn you around and let you see the book as I'm reading it. That way, if you just want a screenshot and not just listen to me read, that's cool. I don't know. So that's what I'm going to do. So see you in a minute. Again, the book is Herbs in Magic and Alchemy, Techniques from Ancient Herbal Lore. This is the author. And this is Briggs. Hi, Briggs. Hey, buddy. I love you. Alright, so let's read. So, the moon cycle described below may aid in your harvesting time for magical purposes. While these phases may aid in your success, a plant cycle may not coincide. So this is in regards to planting herbs. So if there's any green witches who want to know what to plant during certain times, this is going to help you. For example, the seeds may not ripen or the flowers bloom. Careful planting and appropriate weather can bring about timely readiness of a plant, but in either case, one can harvest only when the plant is ready and willing. Then, during that phase, if there is urgent need, a suitable moon time may be decided. If the time is not fortuitous in all aspects for the success of your operation when the plant is ready, do not harvest. Wait another cycle or gather only the seeds for future planting and cycle planting for more harmonious conditions. A greenhouse is of help, blah, blah, blah. All right, the new moon phase. This phase is considered a waxing phase when everything feels an upsurge of energy. The moon rises and sets with the sun, and perhaps there's a duality of forces during this phase. The sap flow is upwards. It is warned that when picking plants at this phase, one must take great care not to damage the main plant, for rotting takes place too easily. Plants need more oxygen during this phase. Plants are picked during the new moon phase according to their purpose of use. The nature of use in this instance would be concerning the sun and moon equally, concerning the beginning of, to activate the first surge in a matter, to cause change. Annuals that produce above ground, especially the leafy kind that produce seeds outside the fruit, are the most responsive to the new moon phase. All right, now the first quarter moon phase. This is when the energy is rising and the sap flow is upwards. The moon rises now at noon and sets at midnight. It's a phase to activate the activities of the balsamic moon phase, a good time to start anything. If the herbs were plucked during balsamic moon, now is the time to begin preparations for required use. Alchemic transformation of one stage to another is operated at this phase. The 2 days before full moon, the last 2 days of the first quarter, are considered good for picking if the nature of the operation demands. The nature of this phase concerns the reinforcing of a matter, adding strength to cause growth to, for success of a matter of the nature. The sun is strong, the moon is strengthening. Annuals above ground, especially the vine type with seeds inside, are very responsive. Full moon phase. This phase has a peaking of electromagnetic energy in all living things at the exact time of the full moon. I wonder if that's why I'm always so tired during the full moon. I never really want to do rituals during this phase because I'm just exhausted. My energy is drained. That may be. Anyway, it says the sap flow is downwards. For 2 days before the full moon and at the full moon are times when herbs are plucked for medicinal and culinary use. They are most potent medically during the full moon phase. Some say now is the time for picking for magical use. This is good to know, you guys. This is important stuff. One must also realize that this depends on the nature of the herb and the operation for which the herb is being picked. The nature of the full moon phase is for attraction, to draw down, and the moon is the strongest. Perennials, biennials, bulb and root crops are especially responsive. The culmination of one's endeavors, the full moon to the beginning of the last quarter. Okay, so now let's talk about the last quarter moon phase. It's a barren phase where it's most appropriate to rest and plan. The moon rises at midnight and vanishes in the morning, and only at that time can one undertake anything that requires a moon influence. The nature of this phase is to decrease, to culminate, to terminate. That is very interesting. I did not know that. This is needful information. I'm thankful for this book. All right, so let's talk about the balsamic moon phase. I've always heard that term, but I never really knew what it was. It's the last 3 days before the new moon and the last 3 days of the last quarter moon phase. A lot has been said about this stage being evil. Yeah, it's always, I've heard that. And that it's a bad... It is a bad time for anything, but some resources say that herbs for magical purpose should be picked now. I wonder if you would do it like if you have like baneful magic to do. That's something to think about. So this would fit in with the idea of the moon cycle being used for the preparation of a magical mixture and a special activity. The nature of this phase is that of the sun, so it would seem natural that those herbs of the sun be considered for picking now. However, the author does not entirely agree with this. When one considers the full moon reflects the light of the sun at night, it is known that if herbs be picked last quarter and balsamic phase, they hold their scent. That's fascinating. So it would seem proper to pick during this phase if a product emitting a strong and lasting scent is required, like for incense. That's cool. But this again must be carefully thought out according to the nature of the herb. There's another theory that the balsamic moon phase is the culmination of all the powers collected by the completed moon cycle. Now that makes sense. I could see that. So it would be strong. So maybe that's why it's gotten a kind of bad rep. In either case, the nature of this phase would be that the sun, to make a cycle complete, to attract or stretch out, the sap has reached the bottom, but not yet moved up, but moving up it is inevitable, and there is no other direction to go. A condition completely uninfluenced by the moon under certain circumstances. This could make a herb very versatile according to its planetary, zodiac, and element nature. Alright guys, so that is what I have. I will probably do a follow-up video. Look at all the dog hair on my pillow. Ugh, Briggs, yuck. That's my life. I don't wear black. I'm a witch who doesn't wear black because of this guy right here. But anyway, I I'm going to probably do a follow-up video since this talked about herbs and stuff. I want to dive more into which spells and everything. I got which. Okay, anyway, I want to go into like which spells are good for the different moon phases. So I will probably be doing a follow-up video on that. And in the meantime, I recommend that you get this book. I just read a small excerpt from it, and I definitely do recommend it. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, if you want more information about a certain moon phase, or any ideas for future videos, just let me know in the comments below. I love you. Bye. Blessed be.
Paint the sky.